Lim today. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everybody. So yeah, we Hello, can everybody hear me or see me?
Yes, we can hear you, Mbak May, but we cannot see you.
You can't see me. I don't know. I moved to other laptop, but this laptop, I don't know. I can't show my video. But anyway, it's okay. As long as I can, you guys can still hear my voice. Yeah. Okay, once again, welcome to Professor Song Lim from Korea University. Before we start the session, Prof, please allow me to read your short bio, Prof. So Professor Song Lim teaches international economics, carries out research on international food trade and trade negotiations, international institutions, and food policies at Korea University. Korea University is a leading college in the country, of course. Yeah. Professor Song Lim received his PhD degrees from Texas University in 1995, majoring in agriculture, finance, and policies. And his research on international trade and developmental policies has led to many publications, including academic journals, research reports, and books. Professor Lim has presented his research findings at numerous domestic and international conferences and has been conducting research collaboration with research partners in various countries, including China, Indonesia, Italy, Japan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Myanmar, and Sweden. Wow, very impressive, Professor. And Professor Lim now is a visiting professor in Navarra University in Spain. Yeah, what time is now in Spain? Hello, Prof.
Okay, good. Okay, hi everyone. This is Song Su. I appreciate this opportunity. I'm staying in Spain now, so it's early morning, but I bet this is the afternoon hours over there. Well, can you upload my slide?
Sorry, Prof.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, Prof. Did you hear me just then?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Professor. Yes, please continue,
okay,
Prof. Thank you.
Could you upload my slide there? this application doesn't accept PPT upload.
Oh, all right. Really, not yet, Prof. Maybe I can help to share your PPT, Prof. If it can't work from your gadget there. Let me see. Is it?
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Where is it? Why I can't see that? Wait, Prof. Where is it? IPB organic. Yeah, this one. Okay, let's share. Okay, where? Yeah, this is it. Yeah, can you see, Prof? Hello, can everybody see
Okay,
the?
let me check.
Yes,
I'm just
ma'am.
browsing.
Yeah. Or maybe you want to try once more from your gadget, Prof?
Yeah, hold a second.
Okay. Okay, I'll stop share then, Prof. Yeah. Meanwhile, Mas Arief bisa tolong send lagi apa namanya tadi presensi linknya, Mas Arief. Thank you.
Okay, would you upload it one more time, please?
Yes, Prof. Yes, Prof. Oh, should I share your PPT, Prof?
Yeah, please.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Yep. Yeah. Can you see, Prof?
All right. Okay. Thank you. All right, folks. I'm sorry for this problem. I've tried to connect you with my tablet instead of PC. So I have some trial and error. Okay. Today's topic is about organic farming and their implication on trade. Also, I want to share my thoughts on how they can be linked for carbon emissions or some their footprint. Since I'm staying in the Navarra University in Spain, I would like to address this one from the European Union's the perspectives. And as can you go to next slide, please? Since we are talking about the importance of the climate change, and now, as you all know, like a geopolitical risk arising from the Ukraine and extreme climate events. Also, we are talking about more about the global supply chains and the problems or disruptions due to the COVID-19. And, you know, all those topics are emerged, has been emerged at the same time. So I want to remind you of the UN, the Food Summit last year. They tried to see this risk or uncertainties as a package. So they call it as the food systems. So we need to approach those pending issues from a systematic way. That is a food system. Also this year in the WTO, we saw this ministerial conference, the 12th ministerial conference. Those ministers released so-called Geneva package in Switzerland. This package includes how we can respond to these uncertainties and risks coming from many different sides. And I note that one of the key achievements in this ministerial conference was they accepted, ministerial declarations about this food insecurity, instability, especially in least developed countries and net food importing developing countries. That is directly linked about this food security issue. At the same time, the minister's decision addressed those WTO trade rules about export prohibitions or restrictions. If this is something to do with the food aid to those countries who are under the humanitarian emergency. Now, WTO rule about this export discipline would not be applied to that case. Then meanwhile, the world, or at least the WTO member countries, they are alarmed by these food security problems in the world. Also, not only this current period, we can foresee that by 2050, we have a huge population growth, and we need to feed, about 9 billion people in the world by that time. So given this constraint in land, farmland, and other natural resources, that is a daunting challenge before us, how we can address those things. So today, I want to go over this EU's positions regarding addressing that issue. One of their strategies was so-called a Green Deal package that include in the farm sector is like a farm to fork strategy. By adopting this farm to fork strategy, now EU is going to the direction of so-called sustainability, sustainable agriculture. So from that angle, we try to see how that can be linked with, in particular, organic agriculture strategy or plan, how that can be linked to the footprint or some spillover effect on the side of international trade for organic products. To do this, I want to go over recent literature addressing that issue, and our own empirical work. We set up the models about organic agriculture trade, and I want to share our research outcomes with you this afternoon, this morning in Spain. Okay, next, please. Okay, before I would like to define what organic agriculture is. This is production systems that sustain the health of soil ecosystems and people. And this definition came from the IFORM, the well-known organic, the agriculture organic products, associations. They also emphasize that organic agriculture is an ecological process, and that include biodiversity and cycles adapted to local conditions. So in the definition of organic agriculture bears this concept locality. Okay? This is a local production, locally produced, and the people live in that local areas. So they also address that this organic agriculture use input, environmental friendly agriculture input. And also it includes the knowledge, tradition, innovation, and even modern science to benefit the environmental quality. And this is a little bit ethical, the interpretation of what organic agriculture is. It promotes fair relationship. Okay, I guess so-called fair trade. Fair like those it's like what everybody have a fair shares in their business operations, even in trade, right? It's a fair relationship between the employee and the entrepreneurs or things like that. Also, this relationship is what it ensure the decent life and quality of life for everybody in an agriculture. Next, please. And next few slides, I just copied from the recent publication about this the organic agriculture in the world. And you can visit that publications to find out the detail about their explanation. So let me go briefly about this one. And firstly, what's going on in the world about organic agriculture? As you see from this, the farmland is about 74 million hectares of all over the world. And the number of farmers is about 3.4 million farmers all over the world. And now the size of organic market amount to 120 billion euros. Well, this is not much compared to the counterpart. In other words, like a conventional agriculture. But this statistics shows us that organic agriculture is growing over time, and people give the great attention to organic agriculture. Next slide, please. And farmland-wide in 2020, I said it's a 74, it's a close to 75 million hectares all over the world. The country who lead in terms of this organic agriculture crop land is Australia, is by 35 million hectares. So Australia accounts for about half of the organic farmland in the world. Then we see the Argentina, Uruguay, India, and France, things like that. So Oceania countries, due to this Australia, they account for the large part of this organic farmland. And organic farmland account for only 1.6% of world total farmland. So we can say that it's less than 2% of crop land, agricultural land, is dedicated to organic agriculture. Next slide, please. And in terms of number of farmers, India is the country who has the most number of farmers, organic farmers by 1.6 million. Then you see Ethiopia, Tanzania, Uganda, Peru, like that orders. And Asia, because it's a highly populated continent, they rank number 1 in this organic among the organic producers, followed by Africa and Europe. Then if you see the last column, the number of farmers, they are rapidly increasing over time. Since 2000, you see from the graph, we have increased number of organic farmers. Next slide. And market size. Okay, this is very important. Is organic agriculture is profitable. They are gaining enough economic like a benefit out of it, and they will do. So we can see the future of organic agriculture. Here, the market size is 121 billion euro. And obviously, unlike what we saw from the previous slide, this market tends to be highly concentrated on developed countries, so-called North America and the European country, United States, Germany, France, things like that. Okay, so we see some discrepancy between producers and the consumers regarding organic agricultural products. This is a very a typical pattern of production and consumption, but I see there is some positive sign from this observation. There is probably many developing countries, including Indonesia. You can see the growing market before you, organic market in the world, and you can have a greater, economic, outcomes, economic benefit involving in this organic trade, organic, the economic production and sales in the market. I met one of entrepreneurs while I stay in Indonesia last month, and she develops like a so-called organic sugar products, and her company is exporting that sugar to Korean market. Okay, that is one thing I see that we would like to see more such economic activities in Indonesia and other parts of the world. Okay, next slide. Now I have additional couple of slides for European Union from same publication. They go over some market country organic status. So you can visit this publication. I see the reference on bottom of this slide. You can go and visit to find out specific about such an area and country. So this is the European Union's one. And you see that Germany, would you see the last part? Organic market, in last column, you see Germany is the top, the organic market with 15 billion euros, followed by France and Italy. This is the top three countries regarding this. And in terms of the areas, France, Spain, Italy, like that. Also, if you look at the second column at the bottom part, the top three countries in terms of the farmers, number of farmers, Italy is number one, followed by France and Spain. So we can roughly figure that these three countries has a greater the participation in organic agriculture. And next slide, please. And farmland-wise, okay, we saw that France and Spain and Italy, then followed by, we also see this Germany and Austria. And Austria, is like very similar to that of Korea. It's of 70% of the country occupied by mountains. So the whole country is regarded as what? It's not favorable areas for the agriculture. So the farmers in Austria, they tend to adopt the organic agriculture or biological products. This is one way to ensure their comparative advantage in the European market. So they push forward that area. So at the time I visited the country about 10 years ago, they said roughly a quarter of their products were like organic products. So that is a huge share in the country. So now we see this organic products market are expanding all over the European continent. Next slide, please. Okay, this is a retail size. Go on, next slide. Okay, now we are nail on this strategy, particular strategy, so-called farm to fork strategy, F2F strategy. European Commission in 2020, they present so-called farm to fork strategy. You know, you can imagine about the life cycle assessment for our products, right? It's just soil on the farmland, all the way to their waste, food waste at the retail level, right? It's similar. It's farm to fork strategy, and this is the under one part of the so-called European Green Deal. And the European Union committed that they will achieve this climate neutrality by 2050, and Korean government and maybe Indonesian government, you too have this commitment. And they want to change this EU food systems. Okay? I said the food systems toward a more sustainable model. So this strategy include the few things like food security is important and safety, and they will cut the pesticide use by half by 2030. And we give this point as a key the input for today's the presentation. 25% of the European Union's farmland can be organic, the farmland by 2030. 25%. Now is not big, it's less than 10%, around 10%. But now they want to increase this share of organic farmland to 25%. This is a very ambitious, you know, goal, I believe, or other experts also share this common understanding. It's 25% of farmland being organic, the area. And on top of that, sustainable food consumption, healthy diet, reducing food loss and waste, and combat food flood, the supply chain, and ensuring this animal welfare. All right, next slide. In particular, they presented this so-called Organic Action Plan, OAP, in 2021, last year. And this OAP have something like laid out organic farming is important for sustainability, what the Green Deal, European Green Deal talk about. And organic production will create jobs, it will expand markets and benefit and profit. So not only organic agriculture is good for the environmental quality, but also it contributes to the farm income and market creation and development. Okay, that is the ideas behind this Organic Action Plan. And balanced demand and supply of organic products will do these jobs. And member states, however, can take their own goals, targets, and intervention, and they have a flexibility in operating this Organic Action Plan. So each member countries have a flexibility to deal with this plan. It's a area specific, country specific, region specific. It's a more adaptive to local conditions, country conditions, things like that. And also, this plan invite the private shareholders, stakeholders. So this is not driven by the government or central, the government, but also this plan should be implemented in harmony with the private sectors. Okay, that is the basic elements under the plan. Next, please. So this time, I would like to share what I have seen from the previous studies about this plan and about this European approach, the farm to fork strategy, and what would be their implication in agriculture and sustainability. Okay? And if you see this chapter slide, you can find that the farm to fork strategy has something to do with sustainable development goals presented by the United Nations. Well, goal number 2, SDG, goal number 13 and 15, we can link this organic farming's contribution. And they can be challenges to achieve this goal at the same time. It's like a double-edged sword. If we look at the positive side, organic farming is good for sustainability. But if you look at the other side of the coin, organic agriculture casts some greater challenges to achieve zero hunger or poverty elimination and something like that. So I find this list of those challenges, those contributions. It's food diversity, quantity, and quality, nutritions. That's we can see that, but probably availability or supply of enough food, accessibility perspective, we see some challenges because of that. If you look at the environmental indicators, SDGs, you can say that, obviously you can find that it contributes to the environmental quality by reducing the pesticide use or chemical use and things like that. It guarantees the biodiversity. It ensures the landscapes, things like that. Okay? We can see this positive side. So we will see these mixed outcomes from the literature. Some research provide those brighter side of organic agriculture, while others, provide their concerns about, those food security challenges and uncertainty or things like that. I want to go over briefly. So if you want to know more about that, I had a list in the last slide in my presentation. So you can go over those each article by yourself, and you can check, you can learn more of it. So let me go briefly about each summary of that work. Okay, next, please. Okay, Gaines and others, this paper talk about those positive environmental benefit coming from organic farming, the biodiversity, yes, and also lower the pollutions due to this synthetic pesticide and fertilizers. But the negative side, they emphasize it's a lower yield. Well, if you count it as a per kilograms of food rather than per hectares of the land, we see it's important for accounting for just 25% of agricultural area. Rather, we go by what is the kilograms of organic food can be produced by 2030. And they point out that 20 to 25%, the less the harvest So there is a yield gap between conventional and organic agriculture, right? So from that, we can see this could be the potential threat to ensure the food security in the future. Okay, I mentioned that we need to feed 9 billion people by 2050. So that would be a huge challenges before us. Also, they point out that and because of this organic agriculture and yield gap, world depends on more import of those products, something like vegetable oil on the feed protein, and that may incur so-called land use change. I think you are familiar with this concept, the climate change. And we know that land use change is the one category of the factor that affect, the greenhouse gas emission, right? So it's land use change. It will incur this LUC in the other countries, exporting countries. So they produce more in exporting countries, and they will ship this one to the European Union, in other words. And some practice by organic farmers may be detrimental to environmental quality. It's more than the one. So here is, I'm not familiar with this agroscience, but they observe the negative impact on the farmland, and sometimes they have the higher, like the leakages to the water stream due to the heavy use of organic fertilizers, things like that. The next slide, please. So they suggest, why don't you combine like a biotechnology, the skills with this. For example, they talk about genome edit, technologies, without insert any foreign genes. Now we said this is seizure technique. You can have the better or targeted improvement for your plants. So this is one suggestion they made, and this can be also effective for pest control or disease control for plants, and this also can be a plus to crop diversities. For your information, I did some research about this gene editing technology from a consumer's perspective. We published this paper on 2021. If you search my name and gene editing, you can find how this gene editing is perceived by consumers in Korea. And this is one of the first paper we dealt with this gene editing in the consumer side. So if you are interested in this new biotechnology technique and their acceptance by the market, please visit that article and find out more about that. And they also suggest that European Union need to incorporate this new technology. European Union regulation needs to be modified, because now the current European Union diet and regulation 2018/848 organic agriculture cannot be paralleled, cannot be coexist with GMOs. Okay, that is a very strict rule in European Union. So to adopt this one, they suggest European Union need to modify their regulation. Next slide. And Barreiro, Harley, and others in 2021 they go over this farm to fork strategies and biodiversity strategy. This is another strategy, biodiversity. The European Union want to ensure this biodiversity. So they are something to the word agriculture, obviously, right? Farming. Especially they use this big economic model, so-called Capri model, and they try to quantify what's the effect of this. So they go over fourth target: reduction of pesticide and reduction of nutrients surplus, increase in the organic farm areas, and lastly, increase in the diverse landscape features. Landscape features mean what? Like something like trees surrounding farmland, or in the UK cases, something like stone walls, or like the edge. France is edge row, type of thing. This is the landscape features. You see also patches of this range on the mountain area, like Finland and Norway. We can say that they are the landscape features. Okay, these Capri models results show that there are significant environmental benefit by using less input and increasing the organic agriculture and landscape features. And this environment, the benefit includes reduction in greenhouse gases, ammonia emission, nutrient surplus, but they see the decrease in the European Union production, and the price has a greater variation and income as well. And they say that this organic action plan, OAP, so because of that, we need to design to mitigate the yield gap, the production loss from that. Okay, that is also we find their suggestion. Next slide, please. And Mushitz and others, I'm sorry, it's at ET at all. The first line, ET at all, this typo. Market could collapse with a strong decrease in farm prices because you produce more, like 25% of farmland dedicated to organic agriculture. That means what? You produce the greater amount of organic products. So that will decrease the farm price of organic products, right? And others as well. So they suggest that each country have to adopt their own flexible goals and approach to this farm to forks, organic agriculture one. And they suggest comprehensive approaches, not only producers, but also, those retailers and consumers and things like that. In line with that suggestion, they also point out that, agriculture knowledge and innovation system, AKIS. Okay, this is the knowledge exchange systems. So the farmers know the best practice, okay, best knowledge about, crop growing or the farming. They can share this knowledge with others, okay, through this exchange system. So this is the one way to disseminate the most recent science and technology. So they said organic agriculture should be part of this, the AKIS. So farmers engaging in organic agriculture, they can learn from others and they can adopt the best practice and best science to organic production. So that will help to reduce those yield gap between conventional and organic the production system. Next slide. Now, if you look at the Backmans, they go over that technological improvement would lessen this negative effect without yield gap and something like that, right? So they ask for additional investment, this investment, but they also point out that those realization of the investment or R&D, it takes years. It's a long-term commitment. It's a long-term output. So we need R&D in this sector, but keep that in mind that there's a realization of the investment would take long years. Next slide, please. So I want to ask your attention to the Smith et al. The paper in 2019. I think this is more adapted to your major of this summer school participants. And many of you might familiar with this life cycle assessment methodology. And so you can go over how this methodology applied to England and Wales. So this is a country-specific case studies. So they try to find out what organic agriculture means, okay? Especially what is their direct greenhouse gas emission implication, things like that. And to their conclusion is this. If you look at the second paragraph on my slide, if you count only direct the carbon emissions within the country, like England and Wales, organic agriculture will reduce this emission level in the country. But if you see that because of this yield gap, now England and Wales need to import food, more food from overseas exporting countries. Then meanwhile, as you saw from the previous paper, exporting countries need to change their land in use, and they need to produce more food to feed England and Wales population. So the country need to import more from the world market, and that will trigger the land use change in exporting countries, and those exporting countries will increase their emission to meet the UK's demand, increased import demand. So agricultural land use is 1.5 times greater than the conventional baseline. And the Mueller and others in 2017, we saw this gaps like about 30%. And there is some positive one if you have organic agriculture, or in general, the soil carbon sequestration. Okay, agriculture, soil can contain, they can lock in this carbon, and so that can be helped, but this is not too short to cover or cancel out, those increased emission by exporting countries. Next slide. So I follow this the bar chart from the paper. In the first bar, you see the conventional agriculture farming without any this organic action plan or farm to fork strategy. Now, this domestic agriculture area, its total area is given like 8 million hectares for UK. And to feed their population, they need to import food from the outside. That account for about 1.5 additional million agricultural areas. In terms of areas, then input within the European country, other European member countries. Now, UK exit from European Union membership, but now let's say this is before that time. If you look at the second bar, if UK transform into organic agriculture, like a 25%, they need to import more from the other European countries and the outside of European countries. So in terms of land areas, this requirement, additional land requirement, arising from UK's the conversion into organic agriculture, this would be high, right? It's 10 million, the agricultural land in the UK, plus it's about additional 7 million hectares, okay, for that. So this graph highlight that, organic conversion in UK may entail the greater the response or greater the land use change in the exporters one. So they argue that we needed to consider not only UK's the emission, carbon emission associated with organic agriculture, but also we need to give the considerations of the carbon emission by these exporters. So we need to combine all emissions by the UK plus those exporting countries. Next slide. So that is their conclusion, as you see from this chapter. Depending on those land use change by conversions from grassland 100%, 50%, or 25% of grassland convert to organic agriculture. That is a 3-column: high, medium, and low the status. They compare this emission, like what CO2 equivalent per year, it's a metric tons. You see, when you have organic agriculture, especially if you say high and medium, emission, total emission in the world actually is higher than conventional agriculture. Okay, this publication, this paper is a very well noticed because this is a more in general approach, not only country specific, but also they count indirect effect of organic strategy, spillover effect of EU's organic strategy to the other countries in the world, right? So that is one thing we can notice. Next slide. Now, TAL paper, they list up those benefits of organic agriculture. It reduces toxic pesticide, and it can have a higher nutrition value. But I find this second line, higher nutrition value here. This is still in dispute whether organic farm products contains higher nutrition value compared to the conventional food products. Now, scientists have a different position about this, so we cannot tell for sure about this nutritional benefit. But anyway, there is some proposal that organic food has a higher nutrition value. Okay, so I'm not sure 100% whether this is true or not. And organic agriculture contributes to healthy soil, and it avoids genetic mutations, and it will reduce the input cost. But again, about this input cost, some argue that the input cost from organic farming can be higher than conventional agriculture because organic farming use many organic, the input. Sometimes this organic input is very expensive, depending on the type of farming, and also the higher requirement of labor hours, the wage requirement, things like that. So organic agriculture can be the higher in terms of their cost of production. So we can see these two arguments here in this slide. And the ethical strategy for humankind, I said fairness, a fair distribution. Okay, we can add some ethical aspect perspective on this biological agriculture. And then, more importantly, we need to give our the attention to this indirect effect, like how this will affect the exporting countries or other part of the world. It's a land requirement for global supply of food. We said about 30% of yield gap, and we need to about 50% or up to 100% more output to meet future demand for food by 2050. And this goal should be met not by just one measure, but as I said, like a food system wide, we can do it. For example, we use less input. At the same time, we reduce our waste of food. Well, maybe we need to change our dietary patterns. Now, China and other emerging economies, they are rapidly increasing their meat consumption. So, as you know, meat production require larger resources compared to the plant-based, nutritional diet, like protein, for instance, grain-based diet. So we need to change our consumption pattern or dietary, patterns to meet this global goal. So that should be all considered together as a package to meet this global food security in the future. Next slide. So the third subject also mentioned about other priorities for sustainability, efficiency through technological innovation. Previous paper, we saw that they approached this one as gene editing technology, biotechnology. And we also need to, reform this food delivery system to minimize the food waste. At the same time, reduce the greenhouse gas emissions during transportation, or things like that. They also said we need to control this dietary patterns and population growth, urban sprawl, urban development, urbanization, desertifications in like sub-Saharan Africa and China, Mongolia, and other countries at the same time. And we need to adopt a more ethical strategy too. So they said carbon footprint depends on many other factors, not only less input use, but energy use, and the organic, the livestock or cattle, to ensure like animal welfare in the European Union. Sometimes they stay outside longer than conventional, the farming, so it can create more methane emission, for instance, and transportation, and we need to count it again per kcal or kilogram. It's a specific unit rather than areas. Okay, so that we need to, based upon that metrics, to correctly find out or precisely find out those carbon footprint associated with this different farming patterns. Okay, next slide. So to make agriculture be more sustainable, they suggest here someone. Okay, we need to use this drip irrigation technology and liquid fertilization, and we need low impact diet, and so we need to improve our input use efficiency, and we can also at the same time consider this so-called sustainable intensification. Okay, we use the input. We need to increase our productivity, but we under the lens of the sustainability. So they, for example, they mentioned about herbicide mediated zero tillage conservation agriculture. Okay? It's a zero tillage to contain this carbon in the soil. Okay? And also avoid this conventionalization process. Conventionalization of process of organic farm. That means what? Organic farmers, they can increase their scale of production, and they become like a conventional farm. They look for profit maximizations, and their business practice is just like like a multinational corporation who pursue, those the high profit. So that will reduce their environmental concessionist. So they against this conventionalization process of organic farm, and we find they also give some illustration that some organic productions are moving direction. They're moving their direction toward this like that big company, big corporations, multinational, fund, or those companies franchise, they occupy this supply chain. Next slide. So this one is on top of my topic. I want to introduce this concept to do my research analysis from the trade model. So this organic equivalence agreement, that means what? If, Indonesia has certified organic products, then this certification automatically approved in other countries, like Malaysia, Singapore, for instance. They accept Indonesian organic certification as their own domestic certification as organic, like this. This is an organic equivalent agreement. And European Union has these OEAs with other countries, Argentina, Australia, and Switzerland, United States, and UK, Japan, India, Israel, like that. Okay, so if they have these OEAs, they reduce their cost of business because they don't have to go over this certification process, approval process again in the destination country, right? So this is the one way to facilitate international trade of organic products. Next slide. And this Denko and Genix work in 2017, they figure out how this organic equivalent agreement, how much this OEA facilitate the trade of organic products between United States and European Union. And they use this data for organic export of United States, 23 products, including the fresh produce, coffee, and tomato sauce over 2011 to 14 periods. And they find out that, this OEA contribute to 9.1% of the higher export from US to European Union each quarter. But I have other here, the paper, like Christiansen in 2014. And this paper finds that no significant effect of this organic equivalence agreement. So I introduced the two contrasting results here, because my model also find not significant, not statistically significant effect of this OEA in organic agriculture trade. But my model, unlike this one, my model is the European Union perspective. Okay, next slide. So research questions I want to give you today. What are the determinants of European Union's trade in organic products? We use this trade model, gravity trade models, to find out that. And what is the impact of organic equivalent agreement or free trade agreement is in this organic trade? And European Union's farm to fork strategy, they will increase their farmland. They will convert their farmland, into organic areas by 25% of that. Then how this strategy would affect organic trade, organic food import by the European Union. That is our research questions. And last one I highlighted, because my model, this is a trade model, so it doesn't give any specific implication for the carbon footprint. But we can talk about this, the general understanding. From this exercise, we can attain some insights about this footprint, carbon footprint in international trade areas, and their ramification on domestic production as well. So I will try to give a couple of lines of implications after I introduce this model result. Next slide. Okay, this is the technical model, so I would not, it is not good ideas in this session to go over details of this modeling. If you're interested in this modeling exercise, please contact me. As you see from first slide of my presentation, there is an email address, so you can contact me for further information. I will be gladly provide you and talk about this model with you. All right, so today I want to go over briefly about those concepts about this model, theoretic explanations about this model. So you see the first equation, Xij, we set up two countries. So this is the country I and country J. If country I is European Union member countries, country J means non-European countries all over the world. So we want to find out these two countries' bilateral trade of organic products. So Xij mean what? The value of import by country I, European Union, from non-European countries. And this trade flows depends on something like G, some variable, independent variable, and SI, the non, like the export specific factors, J, import specific factors, things like that. And we use this multilateral resistance term that each country, European Union and exporters, they have opportunity to access to the other world market. They don't buy from particular J country. Instead, the European Union can buy this one from the other than J countries from the world market. And exporters also same things. They don't have to export their products to European Union only. If they see that exporting to Korea would be more profitable, they will choose Korea as their food destination, trade destination, right? So when you consider this modeling, we need to consider those multilateral resistance, their access to the other markets. So that accessibility would determine that their trade decisions between I and J. Okay, I buy from J country. Okay, given this multilateral resistance term. Okay, so that should be included in this model. Next slide. So this is a structural gravity trade models. Typically we have this kind of a structure, like this kind of a formula. We put here. Y stand for the income or GDPs, if you like, and in each individual country and worldwide. And TIJ is the cost of importing between these two countries. And pi I is a multilateral term. It's from the the outward and if inward type of thing. So this is the economic theoretic, definition of trade models. Delta, those exponential term. Delta is, we call it elasticity of substitution, things like that. So next slide. And from this theoretical model, we can convert it into empirical model. We can estimate these gravity models with the actual data. Okay, that is a process of that. One of the key variables in this empirical model is what this trade cost consists of the distance between countries, I and J, and whether or not they speak the same language, or the country is landlocked or not. If landlocked mean what? The country have to rely on what the land transportation instead of shipping, ocean shipping. So it tends to cost high, right? So we add this landlocked country status as the dominant variable. Next slide. So we use this model with this error term and epsilon I and J. We take a log for this one to linearize this equation, and we use this Poisson-Chaudhary maximum likelihood method to find out, more appropriate estimates of that. And next slide, we also consider the fixed effect to avoid, those endogeneity problems and some missing variable problem, things like that. Okay, and so next one. So finally, we set up this empirical specification model. Okay, this is the import of the organic products from the world market, J countries, and that is the EU's GDP and the exporters' GDP and distance between these two countries, whether or not they speak same language, or the country is landlocked or not, if the country has a FTA each other, and the here ratio. Okay, this beta 5 coefficient, this natural log of ratio, the EU's organic areas share, and the next ratio mean what? The exporters' organic areas share. So these variables try to capture if these organic areas or their share actually determine the European Union's the import of organic products. And if you look at the least developed, I mean what? If this export country is least developed countries, it's the poorest countries in the world, and they contribute to import of European Union or not. And lastly, we have some organic trade equivalence, another dummy variable to find out their impact on trade with the fixed effects. Next slide. So this data is from that various sources like CEPI, the French Research Institute, and UNCTAD, and World Bank about its GDP variables. Next slide. And this ratio, the more importantly, organic trade data. We had huge trouble to find out this organic trade data. To be honest with you, about 10 years ago, I tried to do this study with the organic trade, but unfortunately, I couldn't access to this information because countries do not have designated the harmonized system code for organic products. In other words, in our customs, we don't distinguish organic or conventional products. So organic products doesn't have their own code. So this research, we used so-called traces. Okay, this association provide trade data, organic products. So we obtained this data from that traces, and we use them as a trade value term to do this analysis. So this database includes 27 EU member countries, other than UK, obviously. Then the products is about like 891 products. So we have a huge data set, and we reduce this the number of the products into the one aggregate number of organic food. We sum them up and we put them into our model. Next slide. So this is the data, about 8,000 observations. And next slide. So after this, if you look at the column 1, PPML, Poisson pseudo maximum likelihood method, we have some unexpected outcome. So minus 1.5 for trade equivalency. So we see that this is an unexpected sign. Actually, this equivalence agreement would not affect, or even they reduce the trade between countries. And FTA also is not statistically significant in our estimation. And the exporter is least developed countries. They are export to European Union less, minus 1.3. So they have a disadvantage in exporting their organic products to European Union because of lack of like quality, or maybe their capability to access the market is limited. Many explanations can be added to it. And if you look at these areas, organic areas like the EU, as EU's organic ratio, areas ratio is high, it's increasing, that means what? It reduces European Union's import requirement. So this estimation gives us statistically significant by this one. On the other hand, the exporting countries' organic area ratio is higher, that will promote, their export to European market. Okay, these two variables is as we expected. Organic areas, their ratio has a substantial effect on the international trade of organic products. Okay, next slide. So this slide summarizes those interpretation. So I don't want to go detail, but you can you heard that what I just said. If you look at the last lines here, last section, on 1% increase in the ratio of EU organic areas lead to 0.5% decrease in organic import into EU from that equation estimation. Also, exporters' organic areas lead to 0.87% increase in organic import into European Union. So we find that statistically significant result about this, the organic areas response to trade. Next one. Okay, so what is the policy, the implication? Firstly, trade. Europeans' organic action plan will reduce the import, their import from world market. More organic areas means what? It might have a spillover effect on other products. And this specific negative spillover effect on other agricultural products, or plus, okay, we can consider the other countries, you know, the response, like land use changes. And we need technological innovation, investment, and if required, then regulatory changes to promote the organic agriculture with less cost. So we need harmonization, organic agriculture and conventional agriculture. We need harmonization and technological innovation with the nature-oriented the agriculture, things like that. Next slide. Okay, finally, what is carbon footprint implication? Okay, this is the most difficult part for me. How we can find those implications from our research? Well, we have a mixed result about organic agriculture's impact on carbon emission, as I introduced from the previous studies. And also there is a trade-off relationship between food security, food availability, access, food utilization, and carbon footprint. So how, considering this mixed result and understanding these trade-offs, how we can ensure this sustainability? Well, that means what? We need investment, we need new R&D, we need harmonization, as I said, and also we need to give close attention to this land use change, not only European Union member countries, but also other countries, especially exporting countries. We need to give our due consideration of their spillover effect on other part of the world. That is true. Okay, this is a more appropriate approach to evaluate, you know, those carbon footprint effect of adopting more of organic agriculture. Okay, folks, that's the end of my presentation. I believe I have some questions from you. I'd love to talk about that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Professor Song Solim, for a very impressive research result that's shared with us. Yeah, thank you for sharing that impressive work with us, Professor Lim. Yeah, maybe first applause first for Professor Lim. Yes, Prof, there are some question here from Noel. He asked, Noel is a PhD student from Göttingen University, Germany. What kind of incentives does the EU Green Deal imply to foster farmers' willingness to adopt organic farming? On the political side, do you think this new regulation can be considered a non-tariff barrier for conventional products from other producer countries?
Okay, thank you for the questions. Well, okay, this is something that what the European Union tried to do as EU-wide. And when they announced this package, this is, as I said, one part of this Green Deal package. That means what? The European Union, they will do this policy conversion into these targets. That means they have a financial, support for that, the adoption of organic agriculture. As you know, the common agriculture policy in the European Union, they also go into this target. They are moving. They will put additional resources, financial resources as well, to promote this organic agriculture. So this is the very the macro goals. But as they indicated, each member countries has a flexibility to adopt this one. So we need to wait and see about every detail, how they can promote, how they can realize these goals in organic agriculture area. And as I talk about a little bit today's presentation, we have a huge concern about this movement, about this goal. And even the academic side, there is a growing critical views about Europeans' policy position about that. So we need to wait a little bit more about that. But at least now, European Union-wise, through the CAP, they were pushing forward to that direction. Okay, that is what this plan is all about. I don't know this adoption, and I read some article and the newspaper, lines that even some farmers groups, they stand against these ideas. They said this is too radical, it's reform in their farming, sectors or things like that. So we have a mixed responses to this. But government-wide, the European Union, the Commission, and they have highly motivated to push forward this plan.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Lim. Noel, thank you for your question. I will pick up now. I'm picking up Triwirayuwati's question. Triwirayuwati is from National Research and Innovation Agency, Prof. BRIM. Prof. Lim should know what is BRIM in Indonesia. Okay, Prof. Lim, as Australia owns almost half of the world's organic farmland, but why it is not becoming the highest organic producer? Oh yeah, I also wanted to ask that question.
Okay, that's very interesting. I do not know exactly why that is the case, but as you know, organic agriculture farming required the very high level of farm labor, because you have to employ those organic inputs, and if you have like especially horticulture products, organic horticulture products, you need greater amount of labor forces to do this. I guess, this is my guess, I do not know the true answer for your question, but I guess probably Australia is not well equipped with this labor requirement for that. Also, this value, you compare with this horticulture or agricultural products or fresh produce, the value in terms of money is high compared to the like a grain like wheat, rice, grain products, right? So Australia is adapted to with this the vast scale like a grain production, things like that. Probably that also affect those in terms of their market size or the benefit. So I do not know the exact answer to this question, but that's what I see from the statistics.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Just prediction, yeah. Prof guessing.
Probably, probably our moderator,
uh,
she can answer this question,
scientific guessing. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Ibu Ira. Okay. Prof, just one question. Can I share your presentation to the students?
Oh, sure. Please
All right.
go ahead. I love to see that.
All right. Thank you, Prof. Yeah, Prof. There is a question from Tikirino. He is also a doctorate student in IPB. Prof. Lim, can I have your research with gravity theory? I was writing the gravity theory several years ago, and I hold the publication because I did not have study including language in gravity model, and I was asked in some conference. I've got the professor in the conference countered me about the language, so I did not manage to publish it. Thank you. Yeah, maybe Tiki,
All right.
you can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And you can find even the manuals. It's published by the one of the UN agency. They use the like ARP statistical package, or they use the STATA package. They give this manual step by step how to formulate this gravity models. And if you contact me, I will introduce them. Also, you can search in the article, my name, Song-Soo Lim, and gravity model. You can have a number of publications I made. So for agriculture trade, agriculture products trade. So I try to adapt these models for agricultural products trade flows. So you can have some additional information or hint how to proceed this modeling into real trade cases. So I love to hear from you more.
Thank you, Prof. Question from Farah Dina Harahap, bachelor student from IPB, Prof. What is basically the challenge for us, the Asian country, to grow more in organic agriculture? And if the emissions organic farm are more than the conventional, does the organic farming will target to the modern farming that produce more high emissions?
Okay, thank you for these questions. Firstly, the emission by organic farming as a whole world, okay, that is, as you saw from our Smith and all the paper, they estimate that the whole world emission level would be higher. And so how to handle that problem? Well, I think that we need some modification, not just for certain percentage of our farmland should be organic or things like that. Rather we need to, as I said in the last policy implication, we need to find or strike a balance between conventional agriculture and organic agriculture. And through this additional investment, we need to find how to minimize those the impact or negative impact of the organic agriculture on the emission, carbon emission. So we need a balance. We need the balanced approach. We need a system-wide approach, including not only production or productivity, but also like demand modification. We need to change the food waste, reduce food waste. We might need to adjust our diet pattern more toward or avoiding meat-oriented diet into the plant basis or the plant protein basis diet in our generation. Things like that. We need to find the solution for that. About your first question, Asian countries implication. Well, we have many different types of agriculture in Asia, but generally speaking, it's a rice-oriented production systems in Korea, Indonesia, and the other China, India, things like that. Okay, that is definitely one consideration. But we have enough, relatively speaking, affluent labor forces. So that is a very positive side. We can hire, you can create jobs. We can create the added value by having more organic agriculture. Or some countries, some areas, we also know that the consumers' demand for organic products are increasing. So our agriculture sector can meet that growing demand, organic products demand. So I see there is some opportunities, but like my previous answers, we need enough support for that, like extension services, because organic agriculture is not doing the growing plants, growing crops without any input, right? If you look at the list of developed countries in my model, they have a disadvantage. Even they don't have sufficient amount of fertilizers, pesticide, so they have to be organic by nature. But that does not ensure that they should be a very competitive organic producers in the world market. As you saw from our landscape statistics, the organic producers or market are rather concentrated in the rich countries. So we need to support our farmers through this technology, new science and innovation, probably digital technology, digital transformation. Also, we need to have additional R&D and extension services. They all together can be reached to the potential farmers who want to grab this opportunity in doing organic agriculture. So Asian context, probably this would not be far different from other contexts, but at least I can say that we can fully utilize this abundant labor forces and this R&D support and extension support, and probably this modern technology like in Korea or Indonesia, we can use this, wireless technology, things like that. So that is the definite way to go.
Sorry, I was muted. Another question, Prof, from Cindy Fania Husodo. I think Cindy is also a bachelor student from IPB. Prof Lim, many countries have experienced organic farming to increase safety and healthy food, also to lower carbon footprint. But in several countries, response of farmers to adopt organic farming technology is very low. How to raise organic farming technology in farmers besides of through cooperatives route?
Okay. Well, I think we need some market where the farmers and the consumers can respond to this market signal. If organic products ensure profitability, and more farmers will get into this business. So market signal. So I think that is a major role by the government. Government provide this is a competitive market condition. They try to establish this, or they try to avoid their intervention, okay, policy intervention to build up barriers to access the market. So once you have this competitive market and consumers, there are enough number of consumers who are willing to pay the premiums for organic products, and these premiums are regarded as sufficient for our farmers, organic farmers, then we will have more entry of the farmers into this organic market. So the best scenario would be we have a very competitive market where farmers and consumers are interact. They are responding to this market price signals. Okay, that is the best part. If you see some difficulty, like initial young farmers who want to get access to this technology, probably they are not well prepared. They have their scale is small, so they have competitive disadvantage. In the case, government can step in and they provide financial support, or they can provide this technological assistance to those farmers. Okay, that will create the public goods, it's a public benefit to the market. So I think in answering your question, probably we need the private side, the effort, or farm sectors, own effort to meet this growing demand. At the same time, the government policies need to facilitate, those dissemination of technology suitable for organic farming, and they add some investment, especially they, rear these young farmers who want to capture this growing markets, potential. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. I'm not sure if this question is relevant. Prof, Muhammad Sika from Pakistan or from Bangladesh, I'm not sure. What is the impact of organic matter on the geography of the soil?
Well, I'm sorry, I'm not a scientist, so my knowledge is never feel, it's suitable to answer your question. But I will keep that in mind to that how that will be. Okay, but it's a carbon implication. Probably, I saw from one of my article. It depends on how you use your plow the land or soil, like a carbon sequestration effect, things like that. Maybe you can reflect that aspect, how the organic farming may affect, soil health or fertility or carbon, the observation. So absorption, carbon absorption, things like that. So you can give that aspect regarding those role of soils. Okay, I'm sorry about this.
Right, maybe Sika, you can ask to soil scientist, yeah, because Prof. Lim is a resource economist. So yeah, maybe if you want to satisfy your curiosity about that. Okay, I think we already, and Prof. Lim already answered all questions that came up to the Zoom chat. Is there any other questions from the floor? Maybe one more minute. We still have time. Okay. Narayani Putri, Ibu Narayani Putri is a master student from IPB, Prof. Ya, silakan, Bu Putri.
I have chat on a chat room.
Oh, yeah.
Perhaps.
Yeah, maybe you can just ask Prof directly.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. I've ever heard that someone says that whatever we do about how to make a green lifestyle, there's so many huge manufacturers that will polluted, kind of like that. What do you think, Prof?
Well,
What about your opinion about that statement, kind of like that?
so it's manufacturing.
Yeah, just kind of manufacturing.
Well, so would you a little bit more specific about your questions?
I mean your opinion that if we want to reduce the carbon footprint, kind of like that, we have to do the green lifestyle.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what about this way? I mentioned, I introduced one of the concept in previous study, conventionalization process. If because organic products can be an ingredient of the processed good, as you know, right? So if you go this processing process and packaging them, and they need to be transported to long distance, like what export or import or things like that. If you go that process, like typical conventional products, we may not have a huge gain in terms of this carbon emission or footprint. That is what the paper said, conventionalization process. So organic production at the outset, that may have an impact on soil or the atmosphere or air quality or water quality in the production side. But we shouldn't forget that if we have this large manufacturer basis process for organic products, that impact is not far different from conventional products, what we used to see in the market. So we need to give closer attention, not only production process, but also those manufacturing process, even their logistics, transportation, or their flows in supply chain. Okay, that should be sustainable, right? So that is all things combined. They should be understood as a package. Otherwise, our net benefit in terms of this carbon footprint would be minimal.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. How about that, Mbak Putri?
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you,
Yeah,
Prof.
thank you, Mbak Putri. Okay, maybe last question, but from peserta Yosua, but I think it's already answered, yeah, by Prof. Slim. Okay, Kasmiati, maybe this is the last question, yeah. There is a stigma for organic products, not only for health, but also a high price than not organic product. So how to handle this one for consumers and market? This is an interesting question, Prof.
Price premium.
Yeah.
Yes. But this price premium, it could be vary across countries. As I said, in
Right.
Austria cases, this price premium is, when I visit the country, is less than 10%. That means what? The producers may not expect to have the gigantic, the profit from the selling organic products, because the country organic products account for a relatively large share of the market. But if you come to Korea, organic products have sometimes it's 2 times or 3 times higher in their prices compared to conventional products. So we see these differences. Even Spain, where I stay now, okay, I don't see much premium prices for organic products. That's why we need to see. I cannot say that just the crystal ball clear answer to this question, because it depends on the market. But for sure, farmers look for profit. And sometimes farmers are doing this organic agriculture by their own belief, by their ethical concerns. They see organic is the way to practice in farming, things like that. It's more philosophical. I visit several farms in Italy who doing this organic, vineyard. They told me that they need to do this organic or biological practice because they believe this is right for their farming. So we have many different concerns and different interests about how the farmer's decision come to organic or conventional. But as your question of premium prices, it depends on the market. But sometimes farmers can accept whatever the premium would be, and they are willing to continue their farming practice. Probably there is a non-price factors, other than price premium, they are doing this. Okay, so it's a very complicated issue. You can say this is the stigma, but I see many different background behind that.
Yeah, that's interesting, Prof. Knowing that organic products in Europe, it's not really expensive compared to conventional product because in Australia it is, Prof, two to three times more expensive than conventional
it's like Korean,
product.
yes.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. Yes, I think that's the last question. Prof Lim has shared his experience, his research experience, and also his knowledge to entertain to answer all your questions, participants, students. So we are so lucky today to have Professor Lim. So we give him another big applause. Thank you so much, Prof Lim.
Okay, thank you very
for joining
much.
us. Yes,
Okay.
and hopefully next summer course you can participate again. You can contribute again in our summer course. Yeah, because it's very interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting because we never have a material from organic farming before from our five summer course before. Yeah. Thank you so much again, Prof. Yeah.
Okay, everyone. Okay, bye-bye. Enjoy your summer school.
Yep. Thank you, Prof. And enjoy also your day today.
Bye.
Yeah. Okay, students. So that's the end of this session. So thank you and see you again tomorrow. Okay. And please don't forget to fill in the attendance form. Yeah. We already give you the attendance form again and again and again in this chat room. So please fill it in, and please don't